it's always an honor to speak for Rotary and to the Rotary groups, just from the foundation of the motto, service above self. And it's, for me, my entire speaking career, and was very blessed to know Zig Ziglar. And when I was about 17 years old, I read a book entitled "See You at the Top." And there was a quote in that book that forever changed my life from 17 on. And that quote was, "You can have anything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want." And I never realized exactly how much that one interaction at that age really set me on a path for the rest of my life. I was fortunate enough to go off to college and play Big Ten football. I played for Hayden Fry. He was the first Texan to the North. I played at the University of Iowa. And so I learned some great lessons from the man, but also started selling life insurance when I was 18 years old, while I played football, while I went to school. And people said, "Well, why'd you do all that?" Well, it was because it was a matter of, how was I going to differentiate myself from everybody else who came out of college at the exact same time when there were no jobs? Sound familiar? Yeah. Just a different few decades down the way, right? And so I was fortunate enough to have 7 job offers coming out of college when people had none. And the funniest part of it was 4 were inside of the insurance industry. I wasn't really mature enough to stay on that path. I wonder where I'd be today had I, but the past is the past. But I had it down to 3 companies: IBM, Shell Oil, and Amana Refrigeration. And I wasn't the blue suit, white shirt, red tie guy. I wasn't the IBM guy. I took IBM out right there. And so it came down to 2 companies. Shell Oil, this huge company, potentially Houston, Texas, and Amana Refrigeration, Amana, Iowa, 20 miles west of Iowa City, where I went to college, a $500 million company. And I said, well, I can rocket to the top of this a whole lot faster than I could rocket to the top of that. That was one of my justifications. The second one was, who the heck would ever want to live in Texas? So I went to work for Amana Refrigeration. After a year in corporate and 6 years in Chicago, they transferred me to Dallas. I've lived here 27 years now. So it's an amazing place to live. Why would you want to be in Texas? Because it's a great place to be. Excuse me. But what I really wanted to share tonight is one thing that I've learned along the way. And I've been blessed enough to write 12 books, and was working on my 13th, and some things have happened along the way. And I was trying to determine that title, and the first title that popped up was, "So why are you killing yourself to prove you're alive?" It's really one of life balance. We tend to have this childlike wonder as kids, and then somewhere along the way we start to get numbed out to the world. Corporate events change, a variety of things happen, change in our life and whatever. And what you really start to learn to understand is life balance as you grow is really being totally unbalanced but present in your unbalance until you're balanced, if that makes sense. In other words, if you really want to strive and succeed, you have to be unbalanced. But while you're unbalanced, most people aren't present in that unbalance. They get unbalanced, but then they cut kind of a foot dragging back here, and they don't really execute. And so so now it just doesn't work. And so one of the things that came to my mind one day is there are 7 areas of life. Well, there are 7 letters to the word balance. And all of a sudden it became very evident to me as I look back at my career, and as Howard said, I've been very blessed. I've done over 2,000 events. I've spoke to close to 1 million people, probably more actually. I've been phenomenally blessed throughout everything I've been able to do. But in order to do some of those things, you have to be really unbalanced. So isn't it wild that my next book is about balance? Because you're looking at a guy who's been very unbalanced, but I've been focused unbalanced. I mean, when I'm unbalanced, I'm really unbalanced, but man, I'm really present and really focused while I'm there. And I think that's really the way that we have to take it, and then we have to return back to home and start there. So I'm going to share the BALANCE acronym. And the BALANCE acronym starts with B, and the B is belief in higher source. Now for me, that's God and Jesus Christ. For you, it might be Buddha, Allah, Hindi, the universe. Whatever you choose to call it, I'm fine with. That's not my task. My task is to live what I believe and live what I believe fully, and encourage you to believe in something. If I'm a proper example of my belief, there's a chance that you might want to learn about my belief. But if I try to command my belief upon you, it's probably not going to work quite as well. Well, where did I really learn the story of this? We were speaking in Singapore. We had about 5,000 people in the audience. We were doing a speaker panel, and we'd get a question and the microphone would come to you. You had about a minute, minute and a half, and you'd pass the microphone, and it would work this way and then work back and then come back. There were 7 of us on stage. And the third question is, what's your highest value? Well, Keith Cunningham, who was sitting in the first seat, said, well, for me, it's got to be integrity. And he gives the most amazing answer on integrity you've ever heard in your life. Crud. That was my answer. So he hands the microphone to Sean Higgins, who was sitting in the second seat, and he goes, thanks. That was my answer. Well, because you've said that, I'll say courage. Greatest answer on courage you've ever heard in your life. Crud. That was my second answer. I had nothing. So here I am in front of 5,000 people, and my pre-stage prayer is the same every time. It's the same as it was here today. Lord, allow my words to impact 100% of the people in this audience in one way, shape, or form. Only you know who you sent here to hear this message. Allow me to do the best I can to deliver that message, be a vehicle, and of service to you. See, I think it's nice I give God permission to take me over. Well, I had said that prayer before I went on stage. So Sean's handing me the mic. I got absolutely nothing. I grab the mic. I stand up in front of 5,000 people and say, well, for me, it's belief in higher source. For me, that's God and Jesus Christ. You might be Buddha, Allah, Hindi, the universe, whatever you choose to call it. I think if you don't have faith, you're missing it all. Because if you think you're the highest source on this planet, you're missing it. I don't know why you'd want that much pressure in your life. That means you're responsible for every decision. There's got to be somebody to offload that to. Whatever you choose to call it, I'm fine with. But if you don't have faith, you don't have anything. And I passed the mic. I sat down, I looked up, and I started laughing. I went, oh my God, you took me over. And I sat and I laughed for the rest of that segment. Well, at the end, I came off the stage. There were 4 Muslim women at the bottom of the stairs in full regalia. They said, Mr. Scott, can we get our picture made with you? I said, I'd be honored. But I said, please accept this as I intended. I don't pretend to understand your customs, but I didn't think you did a lot of that. They said, oh, we don't. We only take pictures of people and things we want to honor. I said, well, that's very nice. Why would you want to honor me? And they said, because you made us cry. I said, well, that's a really strange reason to want to honor me, that I made you cry. You want our picture together. I said, can I ask why? They said, for the first time in our life, you encouraged us to have faith. You didn't try to convert us. For that, we honor you. Now, I've told this story many times since. And I've got no way to prove this, no way to disprove this. What if those 4 Muslim women were married to the worst terrorists in Southeast Asia? And what if that because of that interaction, they said there's one Westerner, one Christian, not so bad. And what if, because of that, some heinous act was either lessened or not done at all? Again, I got no way to prove it, no way to disprove it. What if we were just all the living example we've been asked to be? Like a Rotarian. Service above self. The A in balance stands for achieve financial freedom. The fact of the matter is we all have the invitation to make as much money as we possibly can, but not for the reasons that most people get caught up in. Not for making money for money's sake. Now, I learned this another way. Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, the co-creators of Chicken Soup for the Soul, heard me speak one of my first professional events. They came up to me and they thumped me in the sternum. And they said, "How come you're not doing this professionally?" I said, "Ow, that hurts." And they said, "You need to be out here speaking professionally for a living. You need to touch more lives. In fact, if you're not using God's talents and capabilities He's giving you, you're robbing humanity, you're cheating humanity, you're being selfish." I said, "Calm down, guys. We just met. I mean, you're chewing my butt. I don't even know you." Well, they said, "You've got an obligation to make as much money as you can." Now, I changed the O word to the I word, the invitation. But they said, you've got the obligation because money brings two things. It brings influence and it brings the opportunity to do things with it. It's not money for money's sake. It's for the good that you can do with money. No good happens without some financial resource behind it. Now, we can give of our time, but in order for us to give of our time, we probably have to have the money behind us so that we can take the time. The point is, it's not money for money's sake. It's money for good sake. And so again, it really comes from a different place, and we all have that invitation to be financially free and financially abundant so that we can give, we can share. We just, my business partners and I have just found a program where for $20 we can save the life of a child. For every $20. And our commitment is to raise as many 20s as we possibly can. Because we can save a life for that $20. It's amazing. Not much, just enough. The L in balance stands for live a healthy lifestyle. How many of you plan to be in your body the rest of your life? I know it sounds like a silly question, but the fact of the matter is how many people really treat it that way? We tend not to, and it's our only temple. It's the only thing. And so we should do everything within our power, in our knowledge base, to live a healthy lifestyle. Do the various things that allow you to do this. Now, why this has become so critical to me is December, about 3rd or 4th last year, that really cold snap here in Dallas, I was going to a speaking event and I was carrying a box of books out to my car. Well, I had a little SUV, and as I got to it, I balanced the box of books on my knee and I took the back hatch and I threw it up as fast as I could to get it out of the way. Not thinking anything of it, because when you do that, the cylinders hold, right? Well, not when it's 18 degrees in Dallas, they don't. Well, I threw it up as fast as I could and I ducked underneath it, and as fast as I threw it up, it came and smacked me in the back of the head. It just about knocked me out, just about cold cocked me. I had a massive headache. I was disoriented. I went in and kind of rubbed my head. My wife said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I think so. I got to get off to this speaking event." And I went, and I had a dull headache for the next 8 days. 2 or 3 on a scale of 10. Not bad, just annoying. Halfway through that, I got on an airplane and I flew out to Los Angeles to work with a client. We were filming some infomercials. We were filming some TV shows. And we took a break in the shooting about after the 8th day. And I was walking 1 second, and all of a sudden, I couldn't walk. I couldn't feel from my knees down. I started becoming disoriented. I grabbed a railing to hold on. Now, I was walking with 7 people. 3 of them were doctors. God thing? I think so. I was taken care of. Well, all of a sudden, one of them looks at me and he says, "What's your phone number?" I rattle off my phone number and say, "Why would you be asking me that now?" "Oh, no reason." See, they could see I was cold, gray, clammy, sweating profusely. I was in the midst of a cerebellum stroke. All of a sudden, they sat me down. I kind of regained a little bit. They took me back to my hotel room. Now the 5th sign, I started vomiting profusely just to make sure I had all 5 symptoms. They called the ambulance. They came just to greet them. I threw up on them. Along the way, my left arm disappeared inch by inch. All of a sudden, I couldn't feel anything. I couldn't move my arm. I couldn't do anything. I get into the emergency room, and after 5 hours of testing, every test known to man, I was released with a massive migraine. Well, I couldn't sleep. I got back to my hotel. It got so bad I cried out, "God, help." I heard, "Drop to your knees." So I did. I slid out of bed. I had my elbows up on the bed, and I said, "Lord, I've been teaching your plan and timing is perfect for the last few years now. I am not going to pretend to understand this plan or this timing. I do not believe your plan is to call me home. And I do not believe your plan is to maim me or disable me. So I'm choosing to believe that your plan is to wake me up." Duly noted. You got my attention. "And that I'm supposed to use this event to serve and save myself and others physically and spiritually for the rest of my life. And if that in fact is what I'm supposed to do, I ask for your wisdom and guidance so I execute that appropriately. And if it's not what I'm supposed to do, whatever your will is for my life, I am totally fine with." I crawled back up into bed. It was like I was floating on a cloud. Total peace. Fast asleep. Got up the next morning, went on set, shot 3 TV shows. Now, when I was taking my shower, one little sprig of water hitting the back of my head was sending fireworks off in my brain. When I was done, I went to the neurologist. He said, "I think you got a trapped occipital nerve, radiating headaches, but I want an MRI." Couldn't get that till the next day. 48 hours after the event, first words out of the doctor's mouth, and I'll clean them up. "Get your butt to the hospital. Check into ICU. You've had a stroke." Now, nobody could figure out what was going on. The doctor said, "We look at his MRI. He's laughing, he's joking, all the things. Cerebellum is responsible for speech and memory and fine motor skills and walking and vertigo." And I had none of that. They couldn't understand it. I said, "I got it figured out. It's God's grace, mercy, and favor on my life." They said, "That's as good answer as we got." And they walked out. See, sometimes events happen in our life, and the reason, they said, "You're the healthiest sick guy we've ever seen here." I said, "Good, that and a quarter gets me a quarter." The fact of the matter is, I had my body in a position where I could handle all that. I was physically strong. And so I encourage you, get to that point. Now, with the medications and things I've been on, I've had so many body chemistry issues this year. But the fact is, I'm striving to get back there. You've got to live that healthy lifestyle. The A stands for align yourself professionally. You got to do 2 things. You got to live on purpose, and you got to express your passion. If you're not purposeful in what you do, you're making a mistake, because you're not going to stay engaged in whatever it is. I'm very blessed to be able to go on stage around the world, and I'm passionate about being there to share a message with somebody, just as I'm passionate to be here to share this message, and I appreciate everybody watching this after the fact. My life purpose statement is to inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. So when the opportunity comes to speak like this, and Howard says, "Would you come to our group and speak?" Well, let me run it through my filter. To inspire and empower others to serve humanity. That's Rotarians. So that you can live your purpose Man, if I can help, that's awesome. In spirit, closer to God than I've ever been. Love my family, my friends, more than I ever have. Joy. It brings joy to see the results that can be created here. I'm in. See, your profession has got to align yourself because you're going to spend a lot of time there. You're going to probably spend too much time there. And so if you're not doing it passionately and enrolling other people on that passion and in that purpose, you're going to have a much harder time than if you're able to just really let it work. The N stands for nurture relationships. This is really your family, your social life. People say, life is a 50-50 deal. Absolutely incorrect. Life is a 100-100 deal. Let me just give you an example. If we have a river cutting through here and we have a tree on this side of the river and a tree on this side of the river and we bring it to 50-50 and then we lash those trees together, the bridge that creates is only as strong as that lashing. And if that lashing weathers and comes apart before the trees, our bridge is gone. But if we bring it all the way over and all the way over and now we lash it strong, now we've got a bridge that's insurmountable. It'll never break. It'll never go away. Well, that's the way it is with our relationship. People say life isn't fair. Hey, congratulations, you win the jackpot. You figured it out. It's not fair. It's not about fair. Fair would be 50-50. It isn't 50-50. It's 100-100. And the more that you do that, the more that you recognize that, again, if you simply can encourage people, if you can simply open the door for somebody, how hard is that to do? It's not. It's just about thinking about others first. It's putting yourself in that service above self mold. Well, that's what Rotary is. That's why this organization is so successful. Well, it's not always about the big things. It's about the little things. We were sitting in a restaurant the other day, Paradise Bakery, North Dallas meeting place of the century, right? It's where everybody goes for their meetings. And the girl that was cleaning tables walked by and a potato chip bag dropped from her tray. Now, we were in the middle of a conversation, but we reached out to pick it up to help her. Why? Because otherwise she would have had to stop, put the tray down, bend down. Is it that big a thing to do? It wasn't our job. It was her job. No, it's all of our jobs. It's all of our jobs to look out for each other and nurture those things, and it's not really all that hard to do. The C stands for contribution beyond self. This truly aligns with Rotary. I think we've been put here to leave a legacy, to leave everything better than it was when we got it. My dad worked for 46 years for the same company from the time he was 17 till he was 63 when he retired. There was that kind of loyalty. Now, during that time, he spoke for 30 years for the United Way, getting people to their contribution drive and to the various things, never got paid a penny. I could never understand why he did what he did. Well, towards his later life, and as I became a speaker, I started to understand it. It's where I got my desire to serve organizations and speak in behalf of them and raise people's awareness of causes. My mom, when she was 85 years old, came to my daughter's graduation from Coppell High School. And I said, Mom, you got a new gold watch. It's not like you to get the bling, I mean, that's kind of crazy. She said, oh, it's my 25-year volunteering watch from Florida Hospital. They just gave it to me. I said, you started when you were 60? She goes, doesn't everybody? So, what we don't realize is what we can do, and if we have the treasures, we can use the treasures. If we have the time, we use the time. If we have the talents, we use the talents. But it truly is about leaving legacy and doing more for the greater good. You become so fulfilled and so, it just feels good. It feels good to give back and do better things. And the E in balance stands for educate yourself continually. You never know enough. Buckminster Fuller said, you can't learn less. It's not possible. Every time you do something, you learn something. Every event is different. I got to tell you, this is the first 3-camera shoot at a Rotary meeting I've ever been involved in. This is pretty cool. I like it. They should all be done this way, right? The point is, you can't learn less. You can't learn, you got to keep on striving. Right now, and Howard knows this, and this is one of the reasons that we work together, the quantity of information that's being produced today is monumental. By the time a college student is in their 3rd year of college, most of what they learned the first 2 years is already obsolete. I mean, if you are not consistently learning, you are going backwards. And for some of us who are more mature, that's code word for old.
We say seasoned.
That's right, seasoned, right? Another word, right? The fact of the matter is, we've got to keep up with it. We've got to do it. Now, at the same time, because we know ways that other people aren't learning today, we actually have tremendous advantages over the millennials. They don't even know how to complete a sentence, for God's sakes. If it's not in 140 characters, they can't communicate. So when we can actually talk to people, it's amazing. Now, when you combine it all, it's really amazing. And I would leave everybody with 5 questions to ask in any situation. This turns anything into a learning event. The first question is, what's the lesson? The second is, what's my gift? The third is, what did I do to create it? The fourth, how can I modify it to make it better next time? And the fifth is, how is this going to serve me the rest of my life? So yes, I had an unfortunate event, a dissection in a vessel caused by a car accident. My car attacked me. Okay, well, what's the lesson? Don't throw up the back tailgate and not think about it. What was the gift? The gift is, I suffered a fairly significant stroke, and I come out by the grace of God with nothing. What did I do to create it? Well, I wasn't careful enough in that. I didn't get the headache checked out. I've got a lot of causal effect in that. What would I do next time? Man, I know I don't have 8-day headaches. They don't happen to me. Go get checked. If it's not right, go get checked. Well, you don't understand with my health care plan. Go get checked. Dead doesn't work. It's not a great option. How is this going to serve me the rest of my life? Well, 30 days after I got out of the hospital, I was speaking. I just happened to mention, it was a business training. I just happened to mention 30 days earlier I had been in the hospital for a cerebellum stroke. A lady came up to me and said, people don't come out like you. I said, if you say so, this is the only experience I have. How would you know? She said, I'm with the American Heart and Stroke Association. And since that day, we have created a relationship that we are now sharing this message broader and broader. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest, everybody says, how did you create the relationship with the American Heart and Stroke Association? I said, it was easy. You start by having a stroke. No, not the recommended route. Here's the whole point. The whole point is, I applaud you all for the great work that you're doing and the things that you do. I'm honored to be able to share this with you. Hopefully this helps you and the people that you touch. And if I can ever be of service, please feel free to call on me. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that.